The Put Me in Coach podcast. Okay, what's happening, brother? How are you?
How are we? I'm good, man.
What you say?
I'm good. I'm ready to go. I wanted to talk about another team that people I think are panic selling maybe a little bit too prematurely, a little bit too vigorously. And I think because kind of like the New England Patriots back when we were kids, I think people have genuine like Kansas City Chiefs fatigue and they are really excited for like this downfall that I think might be happening a little bit prematurely for people of like panic selling the Chiefs and like dancing on the graves of the Chiefs because they're 0-2. I think some context is needed here for this, and I'm going to provide it, and I want you to help me with that. But I'm not entirely going to like ignore the situation here because 0-2 is real. Sure. And this is a team that we have kind of, you know, with the exception of a few years ago, like what was it, the 2022 season where they lost some regular season games and they made it to the AFC Championship and lost there. They were kind of, it was kind of a down retool year for them. They were still really good that year, but it feels to me like there are some things happening that I saw up and down the field last year with this football team. The difference is they were winning these games, not losing them. So everybody kind of shut up about the way Patrick was throwing the ball downfield, the way the running game looked, the lack of explosive plays, kind of these things that we had come to know and love in Kansas City as football fans, right? Over the last few years, just Mahomes magic, Kelce magic, these, you know, Tyreek plays, all these big things, right? Sure. So here we are, you know, at 0-2 with the Kansas City Chiefs. And in a minute, I want to talk about kind of last year and why that really correlates with what we're seeing this year. But I guess I want to know from you and from everybody watching, like, are you with me? Are you panicking on the Chiefs? Or are you with me that it's like, it's not nothing, but it's definitely not over? Let's not throw dirt on the dynasty just yet.
I mean, I think a team with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is never truly over. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So no, I'm not. I mean, my panic meter with them would probably be a 5, a 6. You know what I mean? I mean, it's hard to ignore statistics, right? Teams that start 0-2, they very rarely make the playoffs. They very rarely. I think only the New York Giants in 2010 were the only team that has ever won the Super Bowl after starting 0-2. So, you know, obviously it's the exception, not the rule. The rule is that if you start 0-2, your season is statistically pretty much over. It's really hard to climb back, you know, particularly when you look at the Chargers starting 2-0 and both being division games. You know, now you're really behind as far as your division goes. That said, I have to see it to believe it. I think the recipe is there. You know, I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, I don't think this is going to work. You know, it's me reading the old recipe book and them saying, you know, oh, put flour instead of sugar. It's like, no, that's not going to work. This is a pie. You know what I mean? I need the sugar in there. So I look at it and I go, man. And then you got Worthy hurt. You got Travis Kelce, who seems to not care about football anymore. You have Rashee Raice suspended. And then you have the team wearing those cornball shirts, you know, free 4. No, 4 did something illegal and bad and like almost hurt people. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem dialed. I don't know where Isaiah Pacheco is. Is he playing this year? I'm not sure. You know, Chris Jones is a year older. You know, McDuffie's on a contract year, and they didn't pick up his contract. So it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird vibes. I feel like we're about to see a Patrick Mahomes, like Joe Burrow year from last year, where he's going to be like the MVP, but he's only going to win 9 games and miss the playoffs just narrowly maybe. And we're just going to be like, man, okay. So the positive is that Mahomes is still him. And the negative is that the team around him needs to be rebuilt. And maybe there's something that can save their season. Maybe there's like a Tyreek Hill trade coming down the pipeline. I've heard a lot of that, like talk. Maybe that's something that, you know, you make a big splash trade, you get like a Tyreek back, and then you get Rashee back, and then you get Xavier back, and you go on like a 6-7 game run, and you just start cooking with gas, and then you make the playoffs narrowly, and you go on a run. Like, it's the Chiefs. It's always possible. I'm never going to sit here and say those boys are out of it. The problem I have is that when I'm watching these games, when I watched that game against the Chargers last week, when I watched that game this weekend, I'm thinking, this team doesn't look good. Because frankly, I don't think the Eagles looked that good. You know, like you're still Chris Jones as cornball as it was and as silly as it was, he did make a point. Like Jalen Hurts did not even throw for 100 yards, but they won. You know what I mean? Like they won the game. I don't know. They kicked your guys' ass in the Super Bowl and then they won again. You can't really talk in that regard. Although you are kind of right. Like I don't think Philly looks like world beaters, but nor do you guys. It looks like a team that has been to 3 straight Super Bowls and is now just kind of tired and hurt. And you always had to come down from the high of those 3 Super Bowls. So if this is a retool year where it's just things don't really go right and it never gets back on track, that's okay. Because you have Andy Reid and you have Patrick Mahomes and you have a good GM and you have good ownership. So I think it'll work itself out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do too. I think my concern would be the ancillary pieces around Patrick Mahomes based on what we've seen from Patrick Mahomes the last couple years. And again, this is not a Patrick Mahomes burial. I think Mahomes is one of the all-time greats. But I was thinking yesterday watching that Eagles game, or 2 days ago now, watching that Eagles game, and I thought, like, when was the last virtuoso Patrick Mahomes performance I remember seeing? Was it like the Niners Super Bowl a couple years ago?
The Niners Super Bowl was quintessential Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it was really impressive watching what he was doing in that fourth quarter.
It's been a while though, right? Like I feel like that's
I think the problem we have is that when he came into the league, he had such dynamic weapons, you had Tyreek, who was faster than anybody in the league. You had prime Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? You had prime Travis Kelce. And now you don't have Tyreek taken off the top. You don't have prime Travis Kelce. He's kind of, he's on the back 9. So we're so used to Mahomes sitting back and throwing 50 touchdowns and being like, wow, this guy's the best. And I think along the way, he learned a very valuable lesson, which was, let's just scrape by in the regular season, get our wins, secure our division, and then we turn it up when it matters. And we've seen this so time and time again. Like Mahomes is so clutch. Like even going back to that Super Bowl that we were just referencing, like the Niners had that game won, and he just walked them right down, and there you go, game over. We're going to overtime, and you're not winning in overtime against these boys, so let's go. Like it just didn't matter.
But I think magic is so beautiful because it's so, you can't bottle it in a jar. It has these moments, it happens, and then it's like fairy dust. It's gone.
Yeah.
And I wanted to use the term magic because I think, what I'm seeing from this year is a lot of the concerns that led me to picking the Denver Broncos, right? And right now it looks like the Chargers, we'll see what ends up happening in the AFC West, right? But there's a lot of games to play here. It's way too early to even bury the Chiefs. They could still win it. But kind of all of my worst fears from last year are carrying over to this year, minus the bad tackle play, because they did draft that kid Josh Simmons out of OSU, who looks really good so far at left tackle.
He'll be good.
And their tackle play was a nightmare last year. But Mahomes' downfield accuracy was awful last year, and it was not very good the year before. It's the last couple of years he struggled with it. And I told you going into this year, I was like, they need Worthy to get out to a really hot start because he had a really rough first part of his rookie year, and he kind of came alive down the stretch.
Yep.
And then Worthy gets hurt in game 1. Now you're down, and you mentioned Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice has now been gone so long that he's almost underrated. He's a really good receiver.
I totally agree.
And they need him.
He is the wide receiver 1 on that team. It's not Worthy, it's Rashee.
100%. But now they have neither of those guys right now.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing is, and let's not forget, right now, Patrick Mahomes is the leading rusher on this football team. They have no run game.
I'm saying, where's Isaiah Pacheco? Is he playing this year? What's going on?
He's just not been the same since that injury last year. And
a hard one to come back from.
Yeah, it is. And I say all that to say that I think because they went 15-2 last year, and I'm going to preface all this by saying this is not to take away from what they did last year. Great teams find a way to win games. It's very impressive that they made the Super Bowl last year the way that they did.
Yeah.
But it was magic in a bottle. It was fairy dust. It was never going to happen again. And that's why they've lost 3 in a row, including the Super Bowl last year. Because last year, and I want you to give me a minute to explain this, because I don't think people remember exactly how all of these games truly played out.
Sure.
Week 1, they win 27-20 versus Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has Isaiah Likely in the back of the end zone, throws a gorgeous pass to tie that game. Isaiah Likely catches it, touchdown Baltimore. We got ourselves a tied game, except for the fact that Isaiah Likely had 1 centimeter of his heel on the back of the white line. Chiefs win 27-20, game over.
Sure.
Week 2 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's 4th and 15 out of field goal range. Patrick Mahomes drops back, throws a deep shot. In my opinion, it was an uncatchable pass.
Yep.
There's a Cincinnati defender there. Ref throws the flag. That's PI. Sets up Harrison Butker to kick a game-winning field goal as time runs out. Chiefs win 26-25.
Yep.
Week 3, they're in Atlanta. They win that game 22-17. The Falcons on 4th and inches in scoring position hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson. He hits the wrong hole. Chiefs break through, tackle him, win the game. Week 4, they survive the Chargers 17-10. That's the game that Rashee Rice goes down with the knee injury where he collided with Patrick Mahomes. They played awful in that game, but they survived.
Yep.
They beat the Raiders 27-20 in Week 8. In Week 9, they won an overtime game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That game was 30-24. Week 10, they beat the Denver Broncos at home 16-14 on a blocked field goal.
Yep.
Week 12, they beat the Carolina Panthers 30-27. Week 13, they beat the Raiders 19-17 in a game where Carlson missed 3 kicks, including a game winner, to win for the Raiders to win that game.
Yep.
And then in Week 14, they beat the Chargers again on a game-winning kick, 19-17. So, again, I just gave you the majority of the season right there with those games. And I said what I said at the beginning for a reason. I'm not saying all these things to go, well, Kansas City's a fraud, this is fake, whatever. I just want people to understand just exactly how, frankly, fluky and how, like, razor thin that season was from, frankly, them being like a 10-7 wild card team.
Doesn't it feel like Minnesota that one year, 2 years ago, when they won the division? They were like 14-2, and then they got popped by the Giants. And the year after, they won like 6 games.
Totally. And, and my concerns with this team were all of the things I saw last year with, some of the O-line play, the weapons, the running game. You can't ask Chris Jones to shut down the opposing running back every single week so you can win ugly. Yeah. I needed to see more from Travis Kelce, who, look, in that Eagles game, he had the Patrick Mahomes, to his credit, threw a beautiful pass on that slant crosser right down there to, like, put them in position to score a touchdown. And Travis Kelce dropped it right through his hands for an interception.
Loved it, and then didn't even chase the guy down. Starts throwing his hands up in the air and then yelling on the sidelines. It's like, dude, just go be a family man. I don't know.
Because he's washed up, man. And that's the thing. It's like, he's not a bad player. He's been so great that, like, even now he still has those moments, but he's not a great player anymore. Yeah. And you needed Worthy and Rice in this lineup to get this game going offensively again, and you don't have it again. And this time, instead of blocked field goals and pass interference calls and muffed punts, the other team's just hitting the field goal. The other, Justin Herbert's rolling right and making the slot. You got blitzkrieg in the Super Bowl. That game was never going to be competitive from Jump Street, right? Like, the Eagles just came out and played their A game. But I'm not burying the Chiefs. I think my concern is, like, they might be at a point now where they're just no longer going to be penciled in to be the AFC representation. And look, man, I'll believe it when I see it. We've seen Baltimore be better. We've seen Buffalo be better and still not get it done. Yep. So it's none of that. I wanted to give some context to why, like, the panic, I think, is going too far, but it's not unfounded. Like, this is new territory for us as football fans. We've never seen the black magic run out.
No.
It's just interesting,
Yeah.
So, like, comment, subscribe, guys. Yeah. Let us know.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you think,
Chiefs.
man. Go Chiefs. And I hope you guys rebound. The NFL is better when the Chiefs are good. So
just don't rebound against the Lions in week 5. We'll see you there.
Yep. All right, man. Peace out.